Well, good afternoon. It's just after 1 o'clock. Today I'm doing something a little bit different, really just pretending what we do with buyers every other day of the week. So much inquiry comes into the Sunshine Coast on the waterfront marketplace. Obviously the key locations, Bedina, Minyama and Mooloolaba. Today we're focusing on Minyama. We all know that Mooloolaba Harbour has a very safe access to ocean, north-facing river mouth with stone groins, all-weather access except for at periods of time with large swell or particularly strong wind patterns, and of course on occasion with cyclones. But in general, if it's fair enough to enter the sea, go sailing or fishing, you will get through the bar with no problems. Right behind me here is the new pedestrian bridge which opened this year. It's a bicycle and pedestrian bridge that crosses across the entrance to the what we call the shallow water canal system here. On the other side is what's called deep water, meaning that if you have a large yacht, a large vessel, you can obviously stay within the main river and access the canal system there without coming under the bridge. For the people that what is generically known as the shallow water side of the Mooloolaba canals, you do need a vessel to fit underneath this bridge. Right now we're sitting on a fairly high tide, so that gives you an idea of a runabout, or very popular now for barbecue boats and so forth in the river. Can get in and out on probably even the highest of tides. Obviously if you have a slightly larger vessel, maybe a boat with a flybridge or some higher infrastructure, when the tide goes out it certainly gets a little bit easier. So that's always the factor when people say, will we get our boat into the Mooloolaba canals? We bring you down here and we have a look at that, and we have a bit of a talk about obviously the height. When we talk about deep water, it's not about the depth of the water, it's about obviously the size of the vessel that you can moor at your pontoon. So I'm just going to hit the road now and take you on a little tour, just as if we were out today. There's my cameraman. Just as if we're out today showing buyers around property. So just here to give you your bearings is the Mooloolaba Bowls Club. I think everyone knows the Mooloolaba Bowls Club. Bit of a landmark. It looks a little bit like a mini Etihad Stadium, and this road that I'm about to drive onto is Brisbane Road. So just to our right, if we're turning right, just down another 2 minutes in the car would be at Mooloolaba Beach. Turning left here onto Brisbane Road, we're about to cross the bridge, the second of the bridges that we're talking about, that if you wanted to get a boat into the canal, that's what you would have to pass under. This sort of crescent here is called Bindaree Crescent. I'm going to nip along here because while it's not waterfront, it does obviously have apartments that look onto the water, and importantly we look across to Culburra. Just across there you'll see this is genuine deep water living here. All these properties have the ability to have a pontoon as long as their frontage enables it. This part of Culburra is quite popular in that it is north facing, which is one of the preferable aspects here in Queensland, and one of the popularity pieces of Mooloolaba Deepwater is they're all walking distance to the beach. So I'm just going to nip back onto Brisbane Road. Mind me here while I keep an eye on the traffic and be a sensible driver. And we're just going to cross. So this here is the second bridge on what is called Tuckers Creek. That bridge has been replaced recently to a lower level, so it's not really an access point now for the Mooloolaba shallow water canal system. But here we are into a deep water street now, Culburra. One thing you're really going to note on Culburra is homes like this to our immediate right. This is a duplex, and they've really sprung up in Culburra. There's a number of them have been built. The land is of suitable size to enable duplexes, and then you'll see the kind of calibre of homes that are now appearing in this waterfront marketplace, making way for what were the original homes. Now in Deepwater Mooloolaba, you have to probably pay that $2 million plus price range to get in for land content. And just talking about the duplexes, there's numerous ones in this street already. The rule of thumb is they can't be built side by side. There has to be a residential house spacing in between, and of course the house has to meet the land, and the property being built has to meet the requirements. Always something going on in these neighbourhoods with construction. A few tradies down here on site on a local businessman having his new home built here. Absolute stunner. In line with what we're seeing coming up on the Mooloolaba canals. This end of Culburra here is very popular. The peninsula on any street is one of the preferences, because the blocks are narrow to the street frontage and fan out to the river frontage. So these particular homes are just not canal front homes, they actually front onto the Mooloolaba River. And as we come around here, the corner, I'm just going to do a little U-turn here. As we come around here, we get back into the more traditional rectangular shaped blocks. The great part about rectangular shaped blocks are your boundaries enable you to have quite a big pontoon. The rule is if you've got a 20 metre frontage, for example, you have to take 1.5 metres off each side of that, so that'll bring you back to 17 metres, and that's the maximum size vessel or pontoon you can have on that size frontage. So I'm going to nip back out of Culburra now. Just drove past a home we sold earlier in the year at 2.5 million during the COVID phase. The market has came a little bit along since then. You're probably hearing about what's happened into the prestige market on the Sunshine Coast that really is firing well post-COVID. Just back on to Brisbane Road here. This is the Bundilla shops. Some of the original shops in the area, all within walking distance of these key deep water streets. My next turn here left is into one of the favourites. It's called Eleanora Avenue. Why Eleanora Avenue is a favourite is you'll first of all see, excuse the speed bump there, you'll first of all see that it's nice and wide. Waterfront homes on both sides, and it's a little bit hard to explain here, but if you looked on an aerial map, you would see there's two broadwaters, one either side. And the beauty of these broadwaters are they're expansive, really wide canals. So the homes have a really, really wide waterway, and people pay a premium for that. The homes on the left-hand side are north-facing across the broadwater, homes on the right-hand side south-facing. Here's another new build as well. There's a number of these new homes changing the landscape of the neighbourhood. Rule of thumb, if you spend a couple of $1 million on land value, you're probably going to spend the best part of that again on construction. Down here we move into what's called a hammerhead, Carwoola Crescent. Now this is the street that has commanded the highest prices to date. It's a combination. The homes on the inside of the hammerhead look onto the broadwater. The houses on the outside of the hammerhead, you can see here, are on the main river. So everyone in this neighbourhood gets a really wide water view. The older homes here on the river, you know, they're seeing around that 3 million price point for land value, and they're giving way to new homes. So heading left down the hammerhead here, consistency of a lot of new homes getting built. You'll see a few older homes, but the really big news down the end of the street here is the new street and Mooloolaba Deepwater record. Very prominent local businessman has just sold this property, bought by another prominent family. Here it is here, straight ahead. The home here in Carwoola just sold for a smidge over 6 million. Once again, that commanding peninsula position. And the home was officially a 2-bedroom home. The new owners are putting additional bedrooms and garaging on top of that price point of early 6 millions. So that's a bit of a breakthrough price. 6 million plus hadn't been achieved for a home in this neighbourhood until just in recent weeks. Moving back down the hammerhead now, I'll just take us back up to local 50 kilometres an hour so we can get to the other end of the street. The hammerhead here continues to the other end, and you'll find these little pieces of gold, older style homes. This renovation here going on, sold this home many years ago, and they're now going through a complete new rebuild. I believe the neighbours are scheduled as well. Moving along the street, just another relevant sale with one of our other agencies in town, cracking the 4 million barrier there on the left on the main river. And I believe that home was bought from buyers, Western Queenslanders. But one thing we've really seen in this deepwater marketplace is a lot of upselling and trading where people are moving into the next price point of property. So sometimes we don't have to reach out to interstate buyers. And in fact, the record price in this street was set by people that live within the street, just taking advantage of a new position in the street or a better position. So I'll nip back down Eleanora. That's the tour of the hammerhead. If I could whiz a drone up here, you'd see these incredible two broadwaters either side, but a little bit hard when we're here on the street. You'll have to take my word for it. If there is any questions further off the back of our tour about these canal systems, we have some great aerial photos, great videos from previous properties, and you can really get a lay of the land. I do intend to do some more tours in the coming weeks of Minyama and Bedina as well, because we get just as much inquiry on them. But in the meantime, we thought we'd start here near home base in Mooloolaba. Just to our left is a block of 4 waterfront units. They don't have pontoons, but they are really popular units. They're older style, big footprint units, and importantly, they also front onto the Broadwater. So I'm just going to give way to a car here, and I'm going to enter now the 4th of the waterfront streets in Mooloolaba. This one's a favourite of mine. I grew up in this street. Have lots of friends still in the street, lots of clients too, and sold a lot of waterfront properties here. Neerim Drive has got 2 sides. The left-hand side we see here, which is a mixture of old and new, is all north-facing. So key aspect property on the Broadwater, really expensive view. I know of a number of neighbours along this side that haven't renovated or knocked down yet, but do have intentions to. The left-hand side of the street here is still pure residential. They're not waterfront, they're just general homes, but they are fiercely looked for because obviously people renovating, improving the homes opposite to these beauties feel that they've got security in future. Just coming around the corner here now with some of the most prominent homes on the left. 27 originally held the record, first home in this neighbourhood to go over 4 million, well eclipsed since then. Another one of the duplexes in the area that are taking shape, and they blend in really well with the neighbourhoods. They're not cheap builds. Driving along here in Neerim now, these homes face the main river. We've come off the Broadwater. This is the main river. So once again, really broad views. If we could see the view, you look across to Mooloolaba Island in Minyama and across to Mooloolaba Drive, which are 2 of the key addresses in Minyama. So this is the last of the deep water homes here in Mooloolaba. More than happy to do those other tours if this is value. And as I said, we haven't done this before, but on any given day, this could be a buyer out with me saying, take me, show me the neighbourhood. We'll learn a little bit more about it, and then let's hope that a home that fits their requirements comes up and we can slot them in. Thanks for the tour today. Been a pleasure to join in. I hope it's informative. Any questions you have, please send them through. Excuse the sunnies. It is Queensland and it's bright out there, but it's been a pleasure. Anything you need to know, having grown up on the water and always taken great interest in waterfront living, also living with my family on the waterfront and been an avid boatie, I'd love you to reach out and I'm happy to help. Thanks so much for tuning in today. It was a pleasure to have you join me.